What's up guys, Wolf here. Today we are going to start Season 2 of the Evergrande League. Week 1, we are going against Ryan of the DC Digletts. Again, somebody we've played before, and we've lost to before, twice. So, we're hoping that we can pull out some good heat with this Rain team and try and overpower him. So, his team, which is on the screen, to this way, right there. So, this team's going to have Megalodius, Keldeo, Skarmory, Porygon Z, Shaman, Rotom Heat, Electros, Seismitoad, Doug Trio, Sock, Leavanny, and Klinklang. Out of those, though, I'm expecting to see probably one of these 7 here. Definitely expecting Latias, definitely expecting Keldeo, definitely expecting Skarmory, almost certainly expecting a Scarf Porygon Z, almost definitely, like 99.9% chance he's going to bring Assault Vest Electros. So really the last slot is kind of flexible. He might bring Shaman to combat with the Grass type against some of the Water types. Alternatively, he might bring in something like Seismitoad for extra support and Swift Swim to counter the potential rain, which I'm almost certain he's expecting. So, some of the form of that 7, Doug Trio is just going to get walled hard by Swift Swim. Something Rotom Heat gets, ran over by Swift Swim. All my water types. Something like Sock gets ran over by pretty much half my team. Moltres being, the primary example, which I could bring. Leavanny, I guess, but it just doesn't offer as much as something like Shaman, who's traditionally more powerful because of Seed Flare. Klinklang, not coming. Not only do I have Hariyama available to me, but I also have things like Superpower on Mega Sizer, and I do have Moltres as a fire type. I do have access to Nidoking, which can run Earthquake. I just don't see that coming. So one of the 7 that I mentioned before, definitely going to be seeing a very predictable moveset from him. So that being said, our team is primarily going to be a full rain team today. I kind of want to come into the league strong with a rain team. So if I pull off the win, I can kind of make other people worried in the league. Kind of more of a psych move to prove how good rain is, because everybody's already so terrified of it. If I can kind of punch a hole through Ryan's team, I can kind of push that whole point home. So that's the plan here with why we're running full rain versus something like a semi-rain, maybe a trick room with Granbull or something like that. It's cute, it could work, but I kind of want to run full rain to try and get in people's heads. So that's what we're doing today. First up is going to be Mega Sizer, our basic Mega. Swords Dance sets, because Mega Sizer is bulky enough under rain that it can take pretty much any hit, come back with Swords Dance, and then just start bullet punching through things. It does kind of run into problems against Keldeo, but a +2 bullet punch pretty much would take out a lot of Keldeo's health, especially if I have spikes up, which I'll go over to in a little bit. Roost, I was kind of torn between, but I decided eventually to keep it because, again, things like Keldeo and stuff like that, especially Outer Rain, this thing just eats Secret Swords up. I mean, it eats Psyshocks up for Megalodius. It just does a lot, and if I can get a chance to Roost up, I can heal most of the damage back up. Otherwise, primarily, I was thinking about going something like maybe, maybe Bug Bite. Another possible move I was thinking about doing was Iron Defense, because Secret Sword and Psyshock, which I pretty much guarantee is going to be running, versus Psychic and something else, they run on physical defense. So being able to just Iron Defense up, get the dual boost up, then I would just run Swords Dance, Iron Defense, Bullet Punch, and Roost, and then I would just boost to +6 and Roost off damage, and then just sweep from there. So I debated doing something like that, but ultimately I decided Superpower was kind of a necessary inclusion for Klinklang. I don't expect him to bring it, but I have to be prepared in case he does, because I can't just rely on Nidoking alone to take care of it. So it was kind of a necessary inclusion. It also hits all the things that Bullet Punch gets resisted by, with things like Keldeo and Electros. So it gives me another avenue to kind of hit something if Bullet Punch can't do the job. So Light metal, of course, ability on regular sizer because technician does nothing on regular sizer, and if he runs something really crazy like low kick or something, it's a non-zero chance versus a 0 chance with technician. So always keep your non-zero chances in account. Don't just randomly put technician on for no reason, because those things can come up in matches. If it comes up one match out of 100, you've lost yourself one match out of 100 by not thinking ahead. So. In terms of spreads, basic bulky physical sweeper. I was doing the calcs for things like adding in defense and stuff like that, but honestly, HP being his lowest base stat, it's just one of the Pokemon that just benefit from a basic 252 spread. Max Adamant Nature, again, for the power, being able to do things like 2 or 3 hit Keldeo with Bullet Punch, stuff like that. So, basic stuff. Next up, we got Palatoad. Again, being a rain team, kind of need to bring them. Kind of need to have Damp Rock. It's pretty important. Drizzle, of course. Kind of doing more of a support set with him, though. Basic Scald, which he always carries. I do have Encore because I fully expect A, his Keldeo to be Calm Mind, and B, his Latias to be Calm Mind because that's the kind of player that Ryan is. So being able to prepare ahead of time for that with Encore is an option. Alternatively, being able to Toxic something like that, especially the Latias, will definitely be good because Latias kind of runs over this team if something like Kandra goes down. So it's something I gotta add. I have to be careful with it with Keldeo because Keldeo outspeeds, and generally if it runs Calm Mind, it runs Substitute. So I probably won't be using Toxic on Keldeo. I'll start with an Encore, and then I'll use Hidden Power Grass, which is his 4th move because he resists Scald. And I don't really need a 4th move slot. I mean, I could run Hypnosis. I could run, something silly like Ice Beam maybe, but I have enough Ice and Dragon coverage for Latias that it's just not a problem. So I'd rather go for something that just randomly hits Keldeo better. So that's why I ran with Hidden Power Grass. In terms of spread, fully special defensive Calm to eat up all the special hits that are going to come his way. Again, I could run full physical for all the Secret Swords and Psyshocks, but seeing as I have bulky physical threats, Sizer and Klefki, I'd rather have the special defensive set to be able to switch in on special moves that I know might be coming. Something from maybe Electros if it's for whatever reason special instead of physical. Stuff like that. So, basic Calm defensive set. Next up, we have Ludicolo. Normally, as I've said in my League Strategy series, I really like the Rain Dish version more than Swift Swim in League because sub-seeding is actually more of a thing in League than it is in Ladder. You can afford to stall out. As long as you keep your Politoed alive, you can keep switching them in and out, and Leaf Seed helps boost up. But in this case, I'm going Swift Swim because I need the aggression. So we're running a Swift Swim Life Orb set, Hydro Pump, which does stupid amounts of damage in rain, Ice Beam as necessary coverage for Mega Latias, as well as Leech Seed for Latias and Keldeo for the setups, and Giga Drain as well to be able to hit Keldeo. So, as you can see, the theme of this team, Mega Latias and Keldeo are huge threats. They're very good core together. I need to have several answers to them, or they'll just run over my team. So, in terms of spread, special attack, speed, basic set. I should run Timid, and I thought about running Timid for something like maybe outspeeding something after, like if they run Sunny Day or something, to try and get rid of the rain, but ultimately I decided it wasn't a huge issue, because like I said, I could run, speed to outspeed, similar speed tiers, outspeed base 80s and stuff out of rain, stuff like that, but ultimately, I don't think it's going to be out of rain that often. I'm pretty much going to bring him out, do a couple hits, and then switch back into Politoed if I need rain. So I ultimately decided for more power. Next up, we got Klefki. Ultimate support. Although, as you can see, I'm not running Rain Dance. Against somebody like Ryan, who I can predict pretty much almost on the spot every time because he always makes the safe plays. I won't have a problem keeping my Politoed alive until pretty much the very end, so I'm not going to need a secondary Rain Dancer, I don't think, so I opted instead for being able to get light screen support. He's got an almost entirely special team, so I don't really need to run dual screens instead of something like spikes. I can pretty much just keep light screen up and just not even worry about the reflect. Run spikes if I can. He does have a lot of levitators. I mean, it's something I'll have to keep in mind during match. But otherwise, light screen, spikes when I can. Prankster Thunder Waves are always good. And then play rough as an attacking move versus taunt. So item is Citrus Berry because I expect him to be taking a few hits, being a fully defensive bold nature. So Citrus is going to do some work, especially considering that with bold max defense, this is the premier guy to switch in with Psyshocks and Secret Swords because they can pretty much eat all that stuff up, prankster light screen up, and even take on stuff like hidden powers and flamethrowers and stuff. So definitely is something I'm going to be bringing out a lot. Fifth up, we have Nidoking. Definitely going for an offensive set this time. Life Orb, Sheer Force. I still run rocks, just in case I need rocks up or I need a hazard that's not spikes, because rocks isn't something they can levitate over with things like Latias and Electros and stuff like that. So rocks is going to generally perform a little bit better than something like spikes will. But I may not use it. Chances are I'm going to be using a lot of thunders for stuff like Skarmory. This is the main Skarmory killer. It's got enough speed to outspeed Skarmory, hit it with thunder, and just outright kill it. Ice Beam for Latias coverage, and then Surf for general coverage against things like Electros and stuff, because Earthquake doesn't hit it, Earth Power doesn't hit it, and in terms of neutral coverage, Surf and Rain will do more. So it's just basically getting the most damage that I can out of Nidoking. In terms of spreads, basic spreads. I mean, nothing too fancy here. Max special attack, max speed. Again, I debated going Timid or perhaps even Scarf on this. Scarf would be amazing on this, except for the fact that I really feel like I need the versatility of Thunder and Ice Beam at the same time. Switching them in and out, especially since this team's going to be so hazard weak, it's kind of a problem using Scarf users or something like that. Other than my Rain Sweepers, tends to be a problem because he can get revenge killed pretty easy. So it might be a mistake. Being able to revenge kill something like Keldeo with a Scarf and hit it with Thunder is a possibility, but I'm not sure it's going to be entirely relevant because I have things like Ludicolo for stuff like that. So we'll see how it goes. Kingdra is our last one. We're running a physical set on Kingdra, though, because I 100% expect Ryan to be expecting the special set. So when I switch it in, he's definitely going to be switching out into something that's specially defensive to be able to take a special defense hit, and that'll give me a free opportunity to Dragon Dance up. I'm pretty much expecting that's exactly how it's going to go. In terms of calcs, I've calced the attack, for maximum attack, so I can get that +1 outrage going, +1 waterfalls, +1 waterfall, 2-hit max defense Skarmory with max HP, things like that. Return is in kind of a homage to Seismitoad, because Seismitoad, if I don't want to get locked into outrage, a +1 with return could still potentially kill after hazards or with a little bit of damage weakening. So it's just extra coverage because in a physical set you don't really have room for a fourth move except for Iron Head, and Iron Head does nothing to his team, so it's pretty useless to run. So I opted for return just for extra coverage. In terms of speed stat, the speed stat at 260 is enough to 100% outspeed a Scarf Porygon Z and a Scarf Keldeo if necessary. So, or at least under Swift Swim, because Swift Swim doubles while Choice Scarf only gets 1.5. So the maximum speed he can get with a Scarf user is 519. And obviously with 260 under Rain, we're doing 520. So we're going to outspeed everything all the time, every time. So Dragon Dance allows us to get that extra attack boost. It also has the benefit of if Rain goes out midway through, guess what? I still got the speed boost, so it doesn't really matter. But otherwise, it's going to be my main physical threat. I expect to be leading off with Kingdra to be able to punch holes early, and then I'm going to rely on Sizer and Ludicolo to clean up. So that's the plan. We'll see how it goes.